got a few things here to relay before we drop in, and we got the fan going today. It's a little noisy, but dude, it's hot. Like, and I'm not trying to complain. Like, it feels so bad to complain when, like, I talk to friends in other places and it's like 110 degrees, you know? And I kind of was put in my place a little bit. Like, a neighbor of mine, it's like, oh yeah, you know, you talk to your neighbors, it's always kind of like, you get it. I'm like, oh man, dude, it's hot, are you surviving summer? And he's like, yeah, but this isn't bad, man. He's like, I'm from Phoenix, like, whatever. And I'm just like, okay. You know, so he didn't like identify with the same sort of disdain that I'm having for my no air-conditioned life. But at any rate, sweltering and, you know, surviving in my own way. We went down to the beach, which is how you survive around here, right? And we went down to Cardiff, and that's why I look a little red today, lobster vibes. And it's just a great day. Hopefully you all had a great Saturday, and nothing beats it after a day at the beach, a burrito and some ice cream and all the healthy things that keep you spiritual and aligned. You know what I mean? It's a wonderful day. So hopefully you're feeling chill, dropped in. A few things that we got to talk about, and by a few things I mean a lot of things that we got. So stick with me. This is your official invitation that if you want to take out your phone and mark some things in your calendar, I'm about to ramble a lot of stuff. But don't worry. We'll have things on Instagram sharing with you all of the happenings that are happening, but there's a lot shaken down. First thing is, we have Tasha, who's going to be with our littles, the current kids' littles, starting on the first Sunday of every month. So if you have kids ages 1 to 5, on the first Sunday of the month, Tasha will be with them in the auditorium. We got a little area that we're setting up and, you know, getting some things for that, equipment and pads and lots of, not like these kind of pads, like you know, like squishy sort of pads and kid-friendly things and stuff. So yeah, Tasha, we're really grateful for you to be able to be partnering with us in that. So awesome. And background with preschool, and currently you still work in tell me again the technical term. Behavior tech with adults with special needs. So caregiver and a mom of 2 boys. So that's qualification in and of itself. But so she's going to be with us on the first Sunday of the month if you have littles. And then what we're hoping to do is like grow that a little bit. If you want to volunteer and help out, eventually we can do it on the first and third both. And so if you have interest in helping with kids 1 to 5, connect with Tasha. And that's going to be happening next gathering, August 2nd. This is where we got a bunch of stuff shaken down. We got a lot of like events and things and opportunities to hang out coming down the pipeline. First, we're going to be doing a current collective hike, an intentional hike. Melissa, she's not with us this morning, but she's led a hike before at Quest Haven. If any of you were on that hike at Quest Haven after our retreat there, they went out, and we're determining the location right now, but she's going to be our official hike facilitator, like an actual real designated person to get us out in the wilderness and doing things. And she has a really beautiful way of setting intention for the hike, connecting together on the hike with friends, and you know, wherever the destination is, she brings some sage with her. She has her whole thing where she dries it herself and has this whole like ritual process with it that's really, really cool. So if you are interested in joining for a hike, that's going to be August 22nd, Saturday, August 22nd. And we're location to be determined. She's talking about doing a sunset hike, but we'll dial in the time. We still got like a month away, you know, but look at us being punctual. We're coming along, friends. We're coming along. 2.5 years later, we're getting our stuff together. Next thing that is fun that we're going to be doing, if hiking's not really your thing and you're more of like chilling in the air conditioning and watching movies kind of person, we're putting together a film club. Daniel is going to be leading the current film club, and where this is a little bit different than maybe some other film clubs. We're not necessarily going to get together and like watch a movie together. This is more like a book club, but for like movies and TV series. So you'll know in advance what that's going to be. Watch it whenever you want to, whenever you have time. Let it marinate and just stew in your mind. And then we'll gather together on the fourth Friday of the month to rap about it and just talk about it. So this started whenever we had the Gospel of Thomas group. And we were talking about the show Severance. I don't know if anybody's watched Severance or not. But we were talking just some like spiritual implications of that. Hello, blinkers. I won't put you on the spot, but just kind of did. So we're talking about severance and just some like spiritual significance of that, and even some kind of even Gnostic themes of that, of going, from different even dimensions and stuff. So trippy, just finding spiritual implications in film and TV and things like that. And we had a fun time talking about it, so we're going to get together and do that. That will be on the August 28th, Friday evening. We're talking about if we're going to hang out at Mantrasuka Tea Room over here. If you've not been to Mantrasuka yet, it's a cool little spot. Although, if all of us, like this big of a group, show up, I don't know if they're going to be too stoked on that. So we're probably going to have some sort of like loose RSVP so we can dial in location if we're going to meet at Daniel's house or go out and have tea or something like that and chat. But it will be the 28th, the last Friday of August in the evening there. So we're working our way through. We're almost through it. Last thing we're doing, I'm really freaking stoked about this, is on August 30th, that Sunday, is a fifth Sunday of the month. So, as you know, we only meet on the first and third Sundays, and a lot of times it feels like a big gap between those times of getting together and hanging out. So on the 30th, our friend Ryan and Nikki Neese, I don't know if you are familiar with Ryan and Nikki Neese. They're a wonderful couple. They bring their 2 kids, drop in with us. They're in St. Louis for a wedding today, or else I'd introduce you to them. But Ryan's come up and chat with me before for a live talk. Ryan and Nikki are therapists and just have a big heart just for people and facilitating space, and really have leaned into yoga. And Ryan's becoming a yoga official teacher. And so he has another yoga friend as well, and he just wanted to offer his home. He's got a home in Poway with a big backyard. He's like, what if we just came on the 5th Sunday and we did just like a whole like embodiment Sunday current thing? So I'm like, yeah, that sounds freaking awesome. We'll be there. So more information will come out on that, but it will be in Poway at Ryan and Nikki's house. And he's going to share just a little bit about the engagements of the body and kind of share a little bit about his Christian upbringing, that the only time that the church talked about the body is what not to do with it. And so he's going to talk about how integrating wellness and bodily wellness into a spiritual practice has been really formative for him and Nikki. And then we'll have a yoga session together, and then it'll be kind of like a bring your own sort of like brunch thing. So kind of how we've done like breakfast at Daniel's house, but we'll be at Ryan and Nikki's. So after the yoga and the little chat and some other breath work that they're doing, we'll have some brunch together. So I believe that'll be the same time around this, 10 a.m. Poway, the 30th of August. So it's a whole lot of stuff, but hopefully some ways for us all to continue to get to know each other, hang out, connect. And a great way to do that is if you're not a part of our WhatsApp group chat thing, and I understand sometimes you got to mute those things. You're like, dude, my phone is blowing up and I'm doing other things right now. I understand, but drop in on that WhatsApp group from time to time, because there's different things not only that we're putting on, but others, like Mary invited people to come hang out at the camp store, or like your own sound baths that are happening. Other people, Melissa, that's how she got into this whole hike thing, is she invited people to Calavera Hills hike one day. And so not just stuff that's like officially sanctioned, but just random things that happen. WhatsApp's a really great way to do that. And if you want to get connected on the WhatsApp, I don't have one of those fancy QR codes for that yet, but come talk to me, or you can talk to other people. Whoever's on the WhatsApp group, you're in the WhatsApp group? You guys are in the WhatsApp group? Okay, Buddy's in the WhatsApp group. Daniel's in the WhatsApp group. So if you need in the WhatsApp group, just ask one of these people or myself to let you in, and we'll initiate you into the mystery school that is the WhatsApp group. White robe not included. Got to buy that afterwards. All right. Last thing, dude, I know. After the service today, we have after chat. So Daniel will be leading after chat. And just like how it sounds, after the service today, if you feel things that are coming up with you, things that you want to talk about, things that are coming to light, this is an opportunity to just grab a chair, circle up, and to just talk about what's happening in real time. I feel like this is a really important thing. And this doesn't have to only be that if natural conversations happen, but I just notice a lot of great conversations happen after I get done saying whatever it is that I got to say, and it's wanted to create an intentional container for that to take place. So today, after chat, Daniel will be leading that if you want to wrap with some people after the service today. So with that long announcements, I want to invite us to set our hearts in the posture of receiving this morning, and I want to invite Lindsay, do you mind to light our candles today? So as Lindsay lights these candles, this is a ritual that we've included for a long time now. We can say years, plurally now. Thank you, sweetheart. This is my wife, by the way. So, not just calling random people sweetheart. Like the old guy at the diner that wants more coffee. Yeah, thank you, sweetheart. Yeah. Not like that. Yeah. Hey, sugar, thanks for the candle. I told myself no bad dad jokes today, dude, and here I am. God, pray for my kids. So this is an opportunity to light the candle, just symbolizing the light that we have within us, this divine spark that we have within us, and symbolically setting this light above in a way to position and posture our hearts, our minds, our bodies in a way to receive God's light. This is a moment of devotion in the altar of our own heart, to devote this period of time, this short 1 hour-ish period of time, to being open, to allow everything that isn't happening right now to be just for a moment put on pause. All of our responsibilities, conflicts, even the pleasure and the joy, the pain and the suffering. That just for a moment in time we suspend all of that long enough to open ourselves to God's presence that's here in our midst. So we set our mind above where Christ is seated for divine vantage point, and for our awareness to link with the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, the compass and guide. That we may see and feel and know the divine. Thank you for this moment of time.
If your eyes are not already closed down, I'll invite you to close them down now, placing your feet firmly on the ground, feeling your back, your spine straighten against the chair, placing your palms facing upward on your lap, if that feels good to you. A posture of receiving. And taking a nice deep inhale through the nose, sending that breath to the space of the heart, and exhaling through the mouth. Taking another deep inhale through the nose, placing a hand on your heart. And exhaling out the mouth. And continuing with this breath focused on the heart. Continuing to focus on that heart space with each inhale, feeling that space expand its capacity to receive the divine love that's available for you. And with each exhale, releasing any resistance, any doubts or fears that you have about that divine love. And reminding yourself with each breath that this love is effortless to receive. There is nothing you have to do, nothing you have to prove, nothing you have to be to receive this love. It is simply there, present for you in every moment, with every breath. You are inherently worthy of this love just by being alive. You were created to feel this love. To give this love. And to see this love. In every interaction. I'll invite you again to connect to that light that we placed above. And on your next inhale, I'll invite you to pull that light down through the crown of your head, letting it move slowly down your body, down your center, until it reaches your feet, where you exhale it out of your body and radiate that light surrounding you to everyone in this room, pulling it back down through the crown of your head on your next inhale. Allowing it to fill you with that divine love. And exhaling that out and around the body to everyone in this room. And pulling back in through the crown of the head. Allowing this movement of the light in, through, and around you to remind you of its constant presence. Placing a hand back on your heart. I'll invite you to again take a deep breath in through the nose, sending it down to that space. And exhaling out the mouth. Once more, inhaling through the nose to the space of the heart. Sending that light and that love that you've cultivated out through the mouth to those in this room. And once again, in through the nose. And sending that love out to the greater community of Carlsbad. Lastly, again in through the nose. And sending that love out to the world. Bringing that embodied space of the heart, the divine presence of love into every interaction that you have for the remainder of the day. Resting in that knowledge that you are worthy just because you are. Beginning to flutter those eyes open as you feel ready. And return back to this room. I'll just invite you to be mindful of any signs and synchronicities that might be present and available for you today and within this message.
Thank you, Mary. I love the signs and synchronicities encouragement. Which I hope you know, synchronicities are more than just seeing 11:11 on your microwave. I mean, who doesn't love a good 11:11? But it's a lot more than that, you know. So, especially when you really understand Jung's, understanding of it, it's yeah. Just being open to that is always good. Just being open to signs and open to things. It's keeps you curious and open to awe and wonder, which I continuously feel like I need to be open to. My mind is so often closed and already decided about things, or often I'm just going through the motions and rhythms of life so much that I kind of miss the opportunity to witness like the miraculous in everyday, ordinary stuff. And so just the openness to synchronicity and thing, I think, is like a great way to incorporate awe and wonder, which is, again, we need a little more. I need a little more of that in my life. So thank you for that reminder. A couple things that I just felt impressed upon to share today, which I feel like even that could be, that could be message received and we could just split. You know what I mean? Like, open to awe and wonder. Just do that, and that will be all you need. But I've been reflecting a lot on a conversation that I had with a friend recently, and I felt like it's something that just keeps stewing. It just keeps coming up, and I want to share a little bit of it here, and maybe it resonates with you. And like anything here, pick up what works for you, and let go of what doesn't. And I'm not really here to necessarily teach us anything new, but rather to reflect on what I feel like is true in my particular experience that happens, I think, to be translatable to our universal experience of what it means to be human and uncovering the divinity in that humanity. So, just pick things up that I lay down that are helpful and throw away the things that aren't. So I was with a friend. We're having coffee, and I wasn't going to name him, but because he's the big dog, I was walking with Josh. And, look at this beard. Dude, we're getting coffee. We're standing in line for coffee, and he's getting compliments on this beard. It's righteous. If I had an image of what, a Moses figure looked like, is this thing sounding horrible to you out there? Okay, sounds all right? Okay. Perfectionist sound person in me is like, I hear a little reverby thing. If any of you know about sound and you want to be like, no, it needs to cut a little of this, feel free to jump up here. But if it sounds okay, that's good. Maybe it's the fan. But we were on a walk. Is that crazy to you? Okay. Because I'm tripping up here. Yo. Hold on one sec. It is this one, isn't it? The culprit. All right, we'll use this mic. So I'm walking with the big dog, Josh. He's getting compliments on his beard, and he kind of looks like, a mix between a Moses and Guru figure, I know. And, it's an incredible opportunity to see Josh complimented in the wild. It's great. So we get coffee, we're walking around, and recently, they camped in the sequoias. I'm kind of telling some of your story, low-key without permission, so if I get any of the details wrong, just, forgive me. But we camped in the sequoias a year ago, and we were just talking about the experience of camping in the sequoias. Granted, we were in, more of the southern part of the sequoias, where, the Trail of 100 Giants is located, if you've ever been there. And it was really beautiful. It was really great. And when we were talking about this, I was talking to Josh just about how where we camped, it was beautiful in this little creek river area that we were in, but all around it was all scorched. There was apparently some big gnarly wildfire that had happened there, and it's crazy to see all of these burnt, scorched trees and thinking about what it might have looked like before everything was, destroyed by the fire. And so we were talking about this notion of wildfires and things, and I was like, man, there's so much that I feel like that could be said about that. And so we talked about that some, and just the nature of wildfires, and I, from that point, every day kept thinking about this image. It just kept coming back up in this conversation that Josh and I were having, which, side note, the secret sauce of hanging out around here is finding friends and going and getting coffee with them and hanging out like Steve and I did. Not to put you on the spot either, but eventually I'm after all of you to be on the spot, so just wait. No. But again, whenever I say at the end, if you made awkward eye contact with somebody, that's your sign to say hello. You never know. You might have your next really cool conversation that sticks with you for days and days and days. So encouragement, collective isn't just an official name. It's important and really beautiful. So we're walking and having this conversation about wildfires, and I kept thinking about this conversation with Josh and just this little mention of it that kept coming through. So naturally, I take to YouTube to understand about wildfires, because what happened when we were talking about this a little on our walk is this whole wildfire prevention thing was really big, especially back in the 90s and stuff, and it's all about trying to prevent wildfires. Well, what we later learned is that preventing wildfires makes them a lot worse. And it makes a fire more gnarly, more untamable, because all of this stuff begins to build up that naturally wildfire comes through and burns off those things. So a new cycle, it helps the soil. All of these great things happen with the fire that comes through naturally of its own. I'm a big fan of allowing nature to do its thing and letting us show it what it needs, and even letting it show us something true about ourselves. Read the Tao Te Ching if you want some more help on that one. But we come in with our big, great ideas about stopping and preventing wildfire prevention. We'll even put billions of dollars behind this effort to stop wildfires from happening. And in doing so, create a whole bigger problem on our hands of much more intense wildfires that are taking place. And I started to think about that again in an analogous way in my own life, about this sense of wanting to prevent fires and catastrophe essentially happening in my life. And it spiraled me out on this thinking about, and I have to be careful about getting too much into self-sabotage and things of that nature. And that's just kind of, I don't know, it's like the blessing and curse of a artist musician mind, I guess. I don't know, but I could go on a rabbit trail there, but I won't. But it spun me out on this whole thing of seeing all the places that I have tried very, very hard to prevent wildfires within my own life. And I kept coming to this confrontation with the underlying motivation in all of these efforts to try to control my wild inner world or the circumstances around me in some way, all came down to the heads and tails of insecurity and fear. And there was a couple times in my life that I feel was highlighted to me as I was reflecting on this, that really brought me to kind of, I have to be careful because I'm not too far away from this season, only about 3-4 years out from it, but I went through, and as you start to, get older on the path, you realize there's not just a dark night of the soul, there's dark nights of the soul, and you just start to accept their cycles. We'll get to the cycles in a minute, but I started to reflect back on some of this time where I was doing everything I could to prevent the inevitable that I could see taking place in a very painful way. And I'll be kind of vague and ambiguous about it because I don't want to get sidetracked in my own therapy session with you here. But I was just thinking about that, and I was just that fear and that insecurity and that sort of frantic scramble trying to keep everything within my grasp, I was not seeing a bigger picture that was taking place that is more natural of a process in my own life, of seeing that these seasons of time come, that the moments of these seasons come with intention to be burned away, all of the impurities, if you will. We'll talk alchemy in a moment. But it burns away these things to be able to reveal a deeper truth about what God is doing in and through my life. Not just specific to me, but translate this to your own story. You know those spaces, you know those places where it's preventing the inevitable, but it's actually short-circuiting what God's actually wanting to bring to fruition through these times of fires and trials in our life. And I started to just relive some of that and seeing the prevention of that as not being able to rest into it. But then I started to have compassion on myself because I'm it's human nature to want to prevent these kinds of things, It's human nature that whenever things come up that are a danger, we try to create safeguards in our life to prevent these very hurtful things that happen in our life that we don't understand why they're happening. And one of the most difficult things is when there's no logical explanation to why these things are happening in my life in this way. Maybe they're external, they're circumstantial, they're relational, situational, or internal. Why you deal with this sort of inner friction and this sort of chasm of thinking the things that you want to be, who you want to be, and acting in different ways and trying to, for my old school Christian friends, the Romans 7 thing. Why do I do the things that I don't want to do and I don't do the things I do want to do? Why is this inner friction happening inside of me? And start to get very judgmental, and where we call the federals and as an analogy, internally. And how can we create this safeguard to prevent this from happening again? I don't want this to happen again. And if we're not careful, what happens in the active prevention of a difficult time, a difficult season, a dark night of the soul, the wildfire of your inner life, we're just storing up for the next time when the fire is going to come around again to be that much worse. Ask me how I know, because I did that, and then the next thing happened again, and I'm like, wow, this feels a lot hotter than the time before. And so, as I was reflecting on this, I started to have grace and compassion for that version, that life, that chapter of myself and what was happening there. Seeing it as being a totally natural thing. And maybe you're going through something right now, or you've been through something recently, and you're trying to understand how it fits in the bigger picture. Maybe you don't have clarity on it yet. It's okay. It takes a long time for the trees to grow back leaves. It's all right. But as we are allowing of those things to happen, as I'm allowing of those things to happen, I see that there is beauty whenever things begin to come back to life again. And they're always fresh and they're always new. And so I was reflecting on this, having grace and compassion for myself in that time. And even if you want to get really trippy about it, like in this version of myself now, even praying for, and I could define what I mean by that a little bit better, maybe if that's a hang-up word for you, but even praying for earlier version of myself in a sort of dimensional kind of way, but without getting too woo on you, we'll move on. And I was reminded of this verse, actually, because I know that I'm never getting away from my own conditioning, you know, pastor's kid, and was in ministry and things, and so I'm never getting away from that, and I accept it. And this verse kept coming up to me that I've not read in a very, very, very long time. And then there's this letter in the New Testament attributed to Peter, 1 Peter. And this verse talks about, it alludes to this refining fire, the refiner's fire in our life. And to not be surprised when trials and difficulty comes through, because that is the refinement that is happening within us. It's the necessary process of things happening within us. And I started then to think about the alchemical process of refining gold, which of course, you know, maybe there was a real era in the Middle Ages of pseudoscience where like we can make gold out of whatever, but like this whole esoteric understanding of the refinement of the inner gold has come from that tradition. And it's incredible to me, that refiner's fire, that even with gold, as you're refining it over and over, you're refining the impurities of it, but you're not pulling impurities out. You're simply just putting it through the cycle of fire again until it of its own accord rids its own self of all the things that it needs to get rid of. But there's no forcing the impurity to leave other than putting it in the environment of another heat cycle. And as those heat cycles come and come, that's how gold gets pure and refined. And I think in our own life, it's the same way. Sometimes we try to like find the thing that was the pain point and pluck it out of our life and scapegoating our life. If we can just get rid of this thing, everything will be better. Maybe that's true in some cases for you. But in my experience, it's going to take another wildfire cycle of going through to burn away different things that I'm still in the process of learning. Because I'm under the conviction that we are in this body, in this incarnation, to continue to be a kid again, that's for sure. And to allow ourselves the ability to come into awareness, slowly but surely, over time. And this is cycles, and to circle back to the wildfire burnings, they started to do these controlled burns, you know, because they realized we can't just let the thing go, you know. We can't just let the thing go because it's going to be way worse. But we can control the burnings because it's necessary for fire to be. And so in the same way of the alchemical process, when these things come up that we keep trying to push away or we keep trying to make sense of from the logical perspective that often doesn't, lap 2, maybe even lap 3, got the Indy 500 going up in here. When we do that over and over and over again, we see something pure each time coming through and coming forth. And so what I've been encouraged in through all of this and looking at earlier versions of those times, I've been resting in to allow the ambiguity of the fires that I'm experiencing right now in my life, to be real frank and honest with you. I'm learning how to lean and relax into those more because I can see that there is a cycle, and I'm consciously choosing a controlled burn in my life right now. It's like, what does it mean to use fire in a way that is tactful and allowing it to bring shape and formation into our life? And so, yeah, that Peter verse was really important to me. And for those of you too, some of us come from that Christian background and some of us don't. And what we're hoping to facilitate here is a space where we can pull from that wisdom, but don't feel boxed in by the dogma of that tradition, but glean from it in the ways that I think are beneficial and helpful. And I've been in seasons up and down of like engaging scripture or not. And so this is just like a side note for those of you. Some of you have asked, like, how do you, if you want to like incorporate like the Bible in some way into your spiritual practice, what does that look like? And my first thing is like, be careful because you don't know what's going to come up for you. And the next thing is like, you know, to me, you always like, if you stick with the teachings of Jesus, like you're going to be pretty good, except for whenever he tells you that if you keep looking at other people to pluck out your eye or whatever, that's kind of a hard one, but, or cut off your hand if you keep things. Anyway, the point is that I revisited a podcast episode with Rainn Wilson, you know, from the dude from The Office that is all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but like he's like sharing more of his spiritual life or whatever. He had this dude named David Bentley Hart on, and he's like a theologian, whatever, and not even a philosopher. He translated the New Testament, and I love his version of it. And I put off buying it for years just because I wasn't really ready for that. And so I bought a copy of it recently, and I just decided to look. I've been reading through it, and it's really helpful if you're interested in that. But he also just translated the Tao Te Ching too, so if that gives you an idea of where he's at, he's open. And I love at the top of the Peter thing, it just said author anonymous. And it's just honest of like, it probably is not him writing this. That's okay. But there's still something really good here for us to glean from and learn if you're open and ready for that. And I love even David Bentley Hart talking about, you know, some of the writings that we have. It's like, yeah, it's probably not actually Paul writing that one or whatever. So not to nerd out on you too much there, but the point is that like, even the fire that came up within me of reading through that again of like, yikes, I don't know that I want to really engage with this thing. I was able to, in the moment, have grace and compassion of like, there's something here that wants to bring wholeness. And that whatever I'm resisting, whatever I'm trying to prevent, whatever I'm trying to keep at bay from my life is probably something that I think the divine's wanting to bring healing to in our life and bring wholeness around. And so just an encouragement that you have to have the discernment to know when's the right time for you, but the trust and faith that I think all things are in our life for a reason, you know? And so I just thought that was important. The element of the controlled burn and refining the gold as an alchemical process in our life. It's being really good. And more so than anything that I got to walk along the beach with Josh talking about things in addition to having gnarly beards. So with that, let's go ahead and stand. We'll pray and end. And I want to encourage you that if anything's coming up and you want to share your own version of what I'm talking about, I encourage you to drop in for after chat with Daniel. Just grab a chair and circle up with him. But as we close today, just want to invite you to one last moment of stillness, because that's really the crux of what's important. So if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes, or if you want to keep them open, you can also hold out your hand like you're receiving a gift, if that feels appropriate and comfortable to you. Because this present moment is a gift. It has never been and will never be again. And part of this whole process is accepting impermanence. That everything is always shifting and changing. Circumstances, situations, inner places of the heart, of the mind, it's always moving. And if we can accept the presence in this moment to work out all things for good, we'll be in a better place to be able to see from a higher vantage point how it's all truly being used as a controlled burn in our life. So God, thank you for this space. Thank you for this moment, stillness. In a noisy world, a moment of silence is so important. Help us to continue to trust and follow what you have for our life. Help us to know where you're leading and guiding us, even when it's uncomfortable. So be it. Amen. Well, friends, again, if you want to chat some more, you can grab a chair. Daniel's going to circle up for after chat here. And then if you made awkward eye contact with somebody, say what's up, say hello, and you never know, you might have just found your new friend. And we'll see you back here in 2 weeks. Have a wonderful day.